You literally were trying to solve a problem you saw was coming, but may not have been existent at the time. What was that problem?
The problem that I was trying to solve, if I could be honest about it, is solving the problem around trust deficit. Over the last 3 decades, or some portion that I was actively participating, I continue to notice that everybody were watching each other in this game. Typically, there are three principal constituents. There is client, there is the uh, intermediation channel, and there is an institution which creates the proposition. In a typical brand, like let's say take any company, all three are linear in the sense there is a proposition that an institution wants to offer to the clients, but it does so through the intermediation channel, which is usually captive channels, which is their own employees, to reach out to the clients. Since no MD can tackle all the clients and do the best of advisory, he puts in various mechanisms to do the transmission. Over a period of time, the clients themselves have also become pretty savvy. And as the relationship managers keep changing the jobs, you have left behind a client who's well educated, well informed, but the incumbent who's taking up the job was not necessarily as good as the client has evolved into. Over a period of time, as clients became wealthy, he had to start depending on himself much more.
That makes
and
sense.
there comes a critical time where the number of relationships that he has opened up over the decades are something that he would like to narrow down, think through, and have some mechanism within his offices where he doesn't need to go through the trust deficit bridging exercise. That means who does he implicitly can count on?
Yeah.
That's where I believe family offices started, and at a point where they could afford that intelligence to reside in their own premises and help them engage with all the multi-pronged relationship that they opened up and accumulated over the decades, is where I thought the family offices will need enough number of people. But for a family office to house all parts of what it takes to run this: aggregation of accounts, aggregation of advice, ability to become a quasi fund manager yourself, ability to become a wealth manager yourself, all rolled into one, will also mean that an experienced person alone can graduate from being on the sell side to a client, which is like a wealth manager, to the buy side on the client side. And very few wealth managers have that holistic experience to become the insiders to the client at their premises and at their offices, probably exclusively working for them. So since it's very complex, we thought we could crack it by converting the problem into graduating the talent pool on one hand and giving them the tools and techniques that such that they will be able to become a multi-family office. That means offer the family office services to a select few clients. So it needed a lot of thinking to become the best of being a wealth manager, sometimes being an asset manager, sometimes becoming a client who can do due diligence, or an advisor who can do due diligence on multiple incoming products, and then start changing the orientation through all these tools and awareness from a client's perspective by sitting on his side and being a unconflicted participant in the equation. That's what I thought was a great way to let people with various degrees of wealth management experience eventually graduate to become a family office to every client, irrespective of the size. Typically today, family offices today, you probably would need $15-20 million or more.
Correct.
To be able to demand that service from a wealth manager, and so on and so forth. That I didn't feel that needs to be only with a very, very wealthy client. Even a HNI who has multiple relationships can afford a family office if only the process was simplified and automated.